Alright, in this assignment we're going to be taking a look at Google Drawing. So within Google Drawing, this is going to be, I hope, a fun assignment for you. I am not the best artist, but I can create a decent looking drawing by following some simple steps. So if you click on assignment 6, you'll see it says Google Drawing. And what you're going to find is that we're going to be taking a look and we're going to be drawing some South Park characters. You're going to notice some of these. Now, I am not condoning watching South Park, but what I have found that drawing these type of characters will be a lot easier for you, and it'll teach you the components of using drawing in a simpler fashion. So what I want you to do is I want you to choose one of these. So you have basically the 6 here or the 3 here that you can choose from. I'm going to just right click and I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go into my drive. So I'm going to go back here, I'm going to scroll all the way up, and I'm going to click on my drive, and I'm going to click on create and drawing. And when I get into my drawing, you'll see that you have a palette here. I'm going to title it cartoon drawing, because that's what we're doing. We're drawing a cartoon. What I'm going to do after that is I'm going to paste in. So I right click and I'm going to paste in my picture, and I'm going to resize it a little bit because I want it to be easier to draw. So the bigger it is, the easier it is. Okay. So I'm not going to completely draw all of this. Well, I don't think I am, but I'm going to show you some things in order for you to be able to draw this one. Okay. So the first thing I want to do, just from past experience, is I'm going to actually right click and I'm going to go to image options, and I'm going to adjust the transparency. Transparency, if you look at it, will allow me to actually see through it a little bit, okay, which will give me a little better, I guess, view when I'm kind of putting these different shapes together. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like that. And then basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with these different shapes here. Now, if you go up here and I just hover over it, you can see I have shapes. So I think I'm going to start with my eyeballs here. Okay, so with my eyeballs, I'm going to click here and I'm going to go shapes, and um, I'm going to pick out a circle. So when I do that, I'm going to try to basically, it's going to color it in with blue, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. So it's hard for me to see through this right now. So I'm going to actually go up to my paint bucket and I'm going to click on transparency. And now I can see um, how close I am to having this circle be perfect. Okay, and I'm just going to move it in. So if I move in, one side, it's going to make it narrower. And I don't want any line color, so I'm going to make that transparent. So if I click off of it, it totally disappears. But when I click on it, you can see I get this blue look to it, or blue line to it. Okay, so I kind of like that one. Okay, that's pretty close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to paste it right here. Now that one's also pretty close too. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to make the little eyeballs. Okay, so what I've found, because these things are so small, is I'm going to move this picture just off to the side right now. Okay, you can see my eyeballs are still there, even though they're hard to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back right now, and I'm going to just change these to black right now so I know where they're at. Okay, change that to black. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my next set. Okay, so I'm going to add in those little tiny eyeballs. Okay, another circle, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of guesstimate on how big they are, and I'm going to hit my paint bucket and I'm going to change them to black. Okay, so it's super small right now. So I'm going to right click on that one and I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it so I don't have to make two of them. Okay, so if I click off of it, when my cursor gets there, you can see that I can move it. So I'm going to bring it down to roughly, it's pretty close. And this one, you see the red line? The red line tells you you're straight across in the middle of it from the other one. Okay, So I am noticing right now that these eyeballs here are kind of tilted. So what I want to do is I'm just going to tilt these just a little bit. And you'll see they're pretty round. And I'm going to bring this back over just so I can see it. So I can move my picture around. You know what? They're not off too much. Thing you might have issues with, so I'm going to move that. I'm going to move this one. These are pretty close right now. Okay? That kind of looks weird with that there, so I kind of move it out of the way. And again, I'm going to get these straight across from each other. So now it'll look a little bit better. Okay? Now here's the cool thing is I'm going to take my cursor and I'm going to draw a box around it, which basically selects all of it. I go into the middle of it. I'm going to right click and I'm going to group these together. When I group it together, it takes one, two, three, four different things and it makes it one thing. So when I move it, it moves it all as one thing, which I think is pretty cool. So then you don't have to worry about moving one eye and then moving the other and then moving the eyeball and the other eyeball. Okay. So the next thing I want to do, so I've got my eyeballs here. I can put them kind of back in. So that's pretty close. Is I'm gonna make his outer head. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull in another shape and I'm gonna make it a circle and I'm gonna get this circle kind of as close as I can. So I'm gonna go to transparency again because I want to be able to see through this. So I can kind of put the outside. So there we go, and I'm going to go up just a little bit. And I'm going to make this higher, and you'll see why here in a second. So I know his head probably does show through like that, but that's pretty close. I'm looking at the outside edges right now, okay? And that's pretty close right now, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this out of the way again, and I'm going to group these together. You can see I kind of have a starting of his face. So I'm going to right click on this and it's going to allow me to group. Okay, so now I have that whole shape together, okay, which is kind of nice. Now we don't have any color in it yet and that's okay. We will get there. Not worried about it. So I'm going to kind of put this back in place and we'll move his eyes back in. Okay, right there. Good. So next thing we can kind of do is we can start to do, I would say, his hat. So we're going to go with his hat now. So I have found this tool right here. It's under the line and it's called the polyline. Works really well. And I'm going to do that for the coat too. So this I found allows you to make some rounded edges. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start down here. I'm going to come across and I'm going to click, and that allows me to kind of almost make bends in my line. So if I come up, I can click again, and I can click again, and I can click again. So it's not perfect, but it is pretty close for what I want to do. And I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to meet this. So I want to meet this line so it forms a shape. If you don't meet the line, then it's not going to form a shape. And then I think I'm going to pick the color on this one, and I think this one's going to be, well, that's pretty close. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that, but I don't need the line on the edge of it, so I'm going to make that transparent. Okay, oops, and I have this here. Let me get rid of that. Okay, so I need to make these little guys right here, and I think I'm going to do that by just doing circles. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this out of the way because I don't really need it in there. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my shape and I'm going to do a circle and I'm going to pull it down. Doesn't have to be perfect because you can grab this. So I'm going to again go to transparent and I'm going to turn this and you can see it rotates it, okay, which is pretty cool. Rotate it up and I'm going to make it a little bit longer, okay, and I'm going to make it a little bit narrower. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the line off of it because I want that transparent. And then I'm going to make a copy of it and I'm going to paste it. You'll see there's my pasted copy. I'm just going to line up the bottom edges, and then I'm going to rotate this. Okay, I can move it over, and I'm pretty happy with that. I can change it just a little bit. Doesn't need to be that perfect, but it's pretty close. And now I'm going to make this shape right here, and I'm going to go to that it's the polyline, and I'm going to make this shape right here. So I'm going to come down here, and I click. You can click again, click up, click across, and then good. So you can see we're going to make a second shape. And that one's a little darker, so I'm going to go a shade deeper. Now again, is it perfect? Not that perfect, but it's, for our purposes, it's pretty close. I'm going to take a look at what he has here. It looks like it's hanging over the edge just a little bit, so I'm going to move that down. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to group these two together. So I found that moving the picture out of the way is the best way for me to do it. And I'm going to, now here's what I have. I have one of these other ones on here that I don't want. So I'm going to unclick here, and I'm going to make my rectangle a little bit smaller. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to group. Okay. And then you can see that these guys here, I'm going to put some color on them now because I want to see what those look like. And I think I chose that one. Yeah, that looks about right. And I'm going to click this one over here. I think we were right there. Nope, too light, so a little bit darker. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these guys over. And you can see, looks decent. Perfect? No. So I'm going to move this guy out of the way because you know what I want to do? I want to group these things. So I'm going to move this picture just a little bit more, get it out of the way. Because I want to group this all as one thing. So we basically have that about done right now. Okay, so I can group it. And now it's one thing. Awesome. Okay, we're looking good. So if I put this in here, you know, we're starting to look like an actual cartoon. So here's what I want to do. I want to put some color on this guy now. So I'm actually going to ungroup so I can kind of take it apart. And I'm going to click off of it, and I'm going to click back on his face. So I've got his face highlighted now. I'm going to add a fill color, and I'm going to get as close as I can. This one is pretty close, but you see my eyeballs went away. So watch what I do. You can order these things from the very bottom to the top. If you think about a stack of papers, this would be at the top now. My eyeballs would be at the bottom. So what I can do is I can right click, and I'm going to order these things, and I'm going to send this one to the back. So if you send it to the back, then my eyeballs come to the front, which is what I want. But my eyeballs are kind of a weird color now, so I'm going to click on my eyeball, and I'm going to click off of that because I want to make sure. These ones still seem to be grouped, so I'm going to ungroup them. I want them totally ungrouped. And now I can just focus on my eyeball. And that one should be, that fill color should be white. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. My fill color is white. Okay? Pretty good so far. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these out because I'm going to regroup these because I like what I have. And now, if I move it around, everything's in there. So if I brought down my hat, you can see it's starting to come along. Now what am I missing here? Well, I am missing his face, or excuse me, his mouth. So I'm going to group everything together now because I like what I've got. So I'm going to group this, and then I'm going to move it back up here because I want to move his face kind of on here and see what I got. So I'm kind of in the right spot. So I'm going to see if I can change. I'm going to hit, no, I'm not going to hit the transparent. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a mouth. And I found the easiest way to do this is just through scribble. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do it here. And I'm going to click and drag. There's just my scribble. And then I can go up to my pointer and I can actually move it on here. Okay, kind of center it. And then what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to group it one more time. So I'm going to group this whole thing because I want it all together. I like what's coming along here. So if you look, it's getting pretty close to our actual cartoon. Next step, I think we're going to do our coat here. So with our coat, we're going to choose that poly line again. Okay, so I'm going to choose that, and I'm just going to go off of it here. So I'm going to start here in the top corner, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to click again. And it's okay if this isn't perfect here. I'm actually going to come down to about right here, and I'm going to start coming across. And I'm going to come up. And to make this round, you have to make quite a few clicks to make this rounded neck. So that's why you probably hear me clicking. So good. You saw that it became a shape. I'm going to change that. Actually, I'm going to change it to transparent because I have some things here that I want to draw. So what we can do here is we have our little gloves that we're going to do. So I'm going to go up to my shape. Probably guess we're going to do a circle. Okay, so I've got my circle. That's pretty good. I'm going to make, actually, why don't I take the line off of that first? So I'm going to change that to transparent. And these are a green color, so we'll go a little darker than what we've got. And I'm going to actually put, no, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to make a copy, and I'm going to paste it on. And paste, and we'll go straight across. Okay. Not looking too bad so far. We have that smaller circle there, and we're going to do that next. So I'm just going to create another small circle. I'm going to pick the same color, okay, which I believe they have already done. And I'm going to make, looks like it's black, but it doesn't, it looks like it's a little off. So I'm going to choose a little lighter color for it. So maybe something like that. Okay. And then I'm just going to make a copy because I want them to be the same size per side. And I'm going to move them over. So I found that clicking off is the easiest thing. So I'm going to put one here, and I'm going to put one right here. Okay. So I want to move this out of the way because I want to actually group those two together. So I'm going to move that, and I think I have to move my picture too. I just found that sometimes it's a little tough to group things when they're all together like that. So I'm going to group them all as one because I kind of have them exactly where I want them. So let's group. Okay, they should all be one thing. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to move this back down so we can see where we're at. Good, we're looking good right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create lines coming off of here. We have a center line, and we have to do these guys here. So probably the next step we're going to do is we're going to put in a shape. I'm just going to do a rectangle. That's a little big, more like a lot big. But that happens. I'm going to change this to transparent so I can see through it. Okay. And not bad right now. It's a little big. That's pretty good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I think I like that better. Yeah, that's perfect right there. Then I'm going to put a little triangle inside of it. So I'm going to go here. Looks like it's pretty good. I'm going to take it from the top, turn it over. I'm going to click off of it, and then I'm going to move it down, see how close I am. So I think it's off just a little bit. So move it. Oh, pretty good. So again, this needs to be on transparent. And then we're going to group that, and we're going to copy it. So I'm going to group this one. So you see that highlighted it, so I got to move these guys out of the way. So sometimes you're kind of doing these things individually, which is okay. So we copy, we paste, and we got the other side done now, which is awesome. And then we can kind of start putting all this stuff together. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move all my stuff back here. We're really close. I'm going to move in. Oops. Did that not group? Might not have grouped. Maybe I didn't group, so I'm going to group that. I think I just copied, so I want to group them for sure, so we don't have to move those. Okay, so now I can move these down, and now I can move this one down. And I'm gonna actually, let's put in a line color right now too. Excuse me, just the line. So I'm gonna put in this line right here. You see that it makes a line, and then you just move it over by grabbing it. Okay, good. And I'm gonna click on this one, and I want to make it that bright orange color. That is bright orange for sure. So when I put it over here, you're gonna see that everything shows up. So I'm going to move my picture out of the way because guess what I want to do? I want to group all this stuff together. Okay. Actually, I'm not. I want to move this down just a little bit. There we go. Okay. And now I'm going to group it together. So, but you know what I just saw? That I don't want the line color for this. So we're going to take that and make it transparent. There we go. So I think looking at it, we're looking pretty good right now. So one last thing. Did I get? I don't want. I want to make sure that I don't get everything that's in there. There we go. Right click group. And really the only thing we need is we just need little lines coming up off of here. So I'm going to pull my scribble tool. And I'm just going to, it's probably coming off of right here. So I'm just going to go straight up. Okay. I'm going to come to this side. It's kind of coming off right here. So I'm going to go straight up there. Everything looks pretty good right now. So next step I'm going to do is, of course, I'm going to group this together now too. I want to make sure I have everything. Nope, I have more than I want. Okay, and I right click and I group. Good. And next step, see what I got. Now I'm going to leave a little bit because you see we have some blue here, or excuse me, some green, almost like an undershirt that he's wearing. I'll show you kind of what we can do here. So the next step is let's make this kind of green undershirt. So let's pull in a rectangle again. I'm just going to make it, you're going to be like, wow, that looks really weird, but it's not going to once we get this part finished. So we're going to do it a darker green, and it's going to be our fill color. So I'll go a darker green, and I'm going to take out our line color. And then we're going to right click on it and we're going to send it to back. And you'll see that it goes in. Doesn't it look normal? Yes, it does. Okay. So again, I want that to be grouped. So I'm going to draw another rectangle and I'm going to group it. Okay. So what do we need? We need legs. Okay. So if you take a look, we're looking pretty good. Pretty happy with this so far. So I'm just going to take a look. What do we need? We need legs. So I'm going to get a rectangle. And we're going to make it, we can just make it up. Something like that. Maybe a tiny bit wider. And if you want, it doesn't have to be perfect. I think he had like a grayish color. So I'm just going to choose a gray color. And I don't want any line color. And we can move that over. And we have to push it to back again. So right click, order it, and we're going to send to back. And you see that it sends it to back. Only thing we need now is we need some shoes, you know, that he's wearing. But what I'd really like to do is I'd like to group that. Okay, so what we're going to do, oops, I might have to move this over just a little bit. So I'm going to group. And then I'm going to draw a box. Come on, you gotta get over there. I need to pull it in more. Sorry. And that looks pretty good. I'm gonna move this out of the way a little bit. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna group again. And so that should be grouped now. Perfect. And then what I'm going to do is if you look here, they had some, I don't know even what they chose, but I'm going to choose two different colors because I want to show, one different shape, and then we're going to make a copy of it. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to choose here, and I'm going to make kind of a shoe. So we're going to fill it, and they're going to be black. So if we move this over, we just have to put it in, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to order it, and I'm going to send it to back, and you can see it almost creates a shoe there. So what I can do now is I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to paste it. Now what you're going to see when you paste this is, you'll have to excuse me, my computer's just being slow right now. I'm going to do that again. Right click, I'm going to copy, and then right click paste. It's the same, it's going the same direction. Well, here's the cool thing. If you right click on it again and you do rotate, and you do rotate horizontally, it turns it right around. And now I can order that and I can send it to the back. So now he's got feet. And now I'm going to group this one last time. Hopefully, one last time. I think my head is above. Okay, good. And now I can group it, and now I've got my cartoon. But what I want to do is we're going to do one other thing. So he's just sitting here in, he's good where he's at. But what we're going to do is we're going to create kind of a landscape, just an easy landscape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a rectangle, and I'm going to put it about, I don't know, a third of the way up. And I'm going to click and I'm going to drag right there. You're like, wait, it's covering him up. But what do you think we're going to do? We are going to right click, order it, and we're going to send it to back. Okay, now he's standing on it. But I want to make it look more realistic. So let's make it a darker color. Maybe not so dark. Maybe we go a little bit lighter so his feet show up. Okay, and we'll take the line color off. And then we're going to do that for our sky too. So we're going to create a rectangle. I'm going to start kind of where I was at. And I'm going to go over. So I'm clicking and dragging again. And this time I'm going to create kind of a brighter sky color. Order it, right click, send it to back. Excuse me, I'm on the wrong thing. Send it to back. And there you go. He's there. But I want a sunshine. So we're going to go shapes, and if you look what we have. We have a sun right here. So we're going to put a nice sun in, and I'm going to move it just a little bit. And what color is our sun? Well, it's golden. So we're going to put that in. And we're going to put in two more things. We're going to look what they have. They have clouds. So we've got my cloud here. Well, I want my cloud to be a little, maybe it's kind of gray. And I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to put one more in. So I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to kind of put it behind him. Now it's going to go over him, so we're going to order it, and we're going to send it to back, and then it totally covers it up. So we're going to take what we have here, and we're going to click on our background, and we're actually going to send that one to back. And you'll see it shows up now. And there we have our finished product. So hopefully you had fun with that. And again, this is kind of a cool way that we can create drawings. Hope you had fun.